You're listening to the Ask DroneU podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
DroneU.
Hey everyone, welcome YouTubers and everyone listening to the show at home or in the car. You may want to check out YouTube for this version of the show. Why? Because we're answering questions that have only come from YouTube. Indeed. So this is a very special episode. So guys, welcome to another awesome episode of Ask DroneU. My name is Paul.
And I'm Rob. And yes, this is going to be a fun episode, Paul. And in fact, it is episode number 443. We hope you enjoy it. We thank you for hanging out with us this morning. And we're going to jump right in. We're going to rapid fire Paul.
I feel like we need some cool background music for this. Background music.
Boom. All right. Cool. No, I think it's going to be fun. And the bottom line, folks, is that a lot of you watch on YouTube, which, man, we appreciate that. Even the guys that give us a hard time, that's okay too. We understand that's kind of the way the world works. But a lot of people ask questions there.
True.
And we don't have an opportunity most of the time to get to those questions because, well, we just don't. I'll just leave it at that. But
Pretty
today,
much we work all the time, and we still don't have someone doing that. But they will soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And frankly, whoever that is, they may not be able to answer all the questions. So we thought, you know what, let's take an episode and just dig into those YouTube questions, get through as many as we can in a reasonable amount of time, and have fun with it.
Awesome.
So here we are.
Here we go.
I'm going to jump right in.
Jump in.
All right, here's the first one.
Head first.
And I like this one because it brings to attention one of our great sponsors, Videoblocks. And so let's just ask it. Paul, I just signed up for Videoblocks. I haven't had a chance to go through all my footage to upload it yet. Have you had any hits on the uploads that you've done yet? Any buys on your uploads?
Yes. And I've only been uploading, I've only got maybe 18 clips up on there. So the way that I do it is every night after dinner, I've been going through drives systematically, folder by folder, and I'm just looking for 10 to 15 second clips that are establishing shots or reveals or just something general that someone can use. And then I add all my keywords, description and everything in the video itself, and then export that video. And then I batch upload 4 or 5 videos,
Sweet.
Wait for them to upload a couple hours later, or okay, let's be honest. Normally what happens is I wake up and open my computer in the morning and then say, oh, I forgot to submit these. And I submit all 5 videos or 10 videos that I put up.
It's nice.
So
one of the things you said to me about this was, and I don't know how tongue-in-cheek you were, how accurate this is, but I think you said something like, I think I'm making more money from my uploads than what they paid us for the sponsorship. Was that just playful?
Questionable. I guess we will find out at the end of the month.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But
nonetheless, you're already selling.
Yeah, right now it's right there. That's all I gotta say.
That's cool. That's awesome.
But you have to have very specific clips, and you have to have popular clips to get the high dollar amounts. You're not gonna get $199 for every single clip that you're gonna put up. And I mean, duh. When people pay a subscription, fee of $150 a year to use this stuff, clearly you've got to have the best material to do that. So don't have the expectation that, you're going to sell every clip for $199. Some clips are worth 10, some clips are worth, less.
Right.
Some clips are worth more. It just depends.
Yeah, absolutely.
So many variables, but I'm telling you, I'm uploading 10 terabytes of footage because I want to see if I can create a revenue stream strong enough to live off of just from stock clips. So I'm in experiment mode right now.
Yeah, which is very cool what Videoblocks has created here, so check that out. Question number 2, and I don't mean for this to be self-serving, we're just kind of going through the questions here, but he says he's starting up a drone service business in the Denver area. We love Denver.
Love Denver.
And he needs to get the 107 taken care of quickly. He wants to find out more information about the class that we're having. Well, he was asking about the 8th and the 9th. That's not happening, but what is happening with that class real quick?
Okay, so just a couple things too. There is an in-person live class November 5th and 6th in Denver that you can attend. If you don't want to wait that long, Ilker, our producer, is actually behind the camera right now uploading the 107 class. You're seeing this video 2 weeks later, but the 107 class is uploaded on the website. You also get the study guide. You also get quizzes for each section that the FAA recognizes, and you also get a test and practice test to go through. If you do get 90% on all of those quizzes and tests, you're ready to take the test and you will pass. I can guarantee that. Just so you know, what are some of the differences between our study guide and other study guides? Not trying to throw these people under the bus, but John Rupert, FAA, UAV Ground School I checked out, the MZA Arrow or whatever, a lot of the study guides are not very thorough. There's a big gap that you have to kind of jump from understanding the material to actually passing the test.
Yeah.
This is a very test-driven study guide for us. It's focused on literally what you need to know for the test without skipping a beat. And I personally have gone through all of the copycats of our school, and I can still say that luckily they're not very good at copying because they don't have everything, which makes me really happy.
Well, and beyond that, even if they're really good study guides, what they won't have is
a community.
16 to 20 hours, besides the community, 16 to 20 hours of an actual live taught course that people are going to learn from.
Well, also, they're not going to have all the other classes for free. These other schools, it's really simple. They're like charging $150, $250, and they'll give you the study guide. With us, you become a member. It's $47 a month. You get all of that included for free, plus all the other classes, plus the community, plus the private Facebook group so you can ask and get questions answered instantaneously. It's just, I feel like this is school done right. And I say that because I went to a university for an engineering degree in UAS, and they didn't even own drones. They didn't, once you were done with the class, it was like, all right, you're done, cool.
Yep.
You know, like there was nothing after it. And with so many questions as people have with this deep of subject matter, it's really important to have that after community. So that's why I think DroneU is the best.
Awesome. So moving on. This is an interesting one. I don't know. We've talked a lot about editing software, but I don't think we've been asked about what video editing software can I use for my iPad? Number one, would you recommend that? Number two, what kind of software is there for that?
iMovie has a really cool iPad app, actually. And Final Cut Pro, I think, just came out with one. Jason, our techie, was messing with one of them when we were in Vegas last time. You can use iMovie, but remember, iPad only has 64 to 128 gigs of space, and you're going to use up that space really fast. And those processors are really not made for video editing, so it's going to take 4 or 5 times. Yeah, I would just say, if our producer in the background, never use an iPad. I agree with them.
All right, cool.
But if you're forced to that for financial constraints, it is technically possible.
It is technically possible.
And I don't want to make that sound like, well, if you don't have the financial means, because I was there and I know what it feels like.
Sure.
But I will say the most valuable resource those guys have is time. And if you use time to your advantage in the future, your biggest resource will be money and not time. So
absolutely.
Anyway,
okay.
Next question.
Let's carry on. We are going to have the Verifly guys on, right?
Yes.
And that's coming on an episode here shortly. Maybe next. I don't know.
Well,
soon.
Okay. So this is episode 443. So Verifly was 435.
Okay, so go ahead and answer the question really quick. What do you think? What are your thoughts on the Verifly app for insurance?
Well, Verifly should have already played. The podcast should have already played. But Verifly, I think, is a great. I think it's a great, quick, impromptu service to get insurance. Just remember that you're limited in how far you can fly, which is a 1/4 mile right now. You don't get hull insurance. But I would say for most people, it's a great resource. Especially if you're amortizing the cost of a new drone in your services anyway, then it's really good because you don't need the whole insurance. The whole idea of on-demand insurance for drones is great. You just got to make sure that wherever you are and wherever you're using it, that you are indeed covered, because if you ever fly to Mexico or the Bahamas or I forget what other country I went to last month, we were covered in all of those places. So anyway.
So just make sure you know what you're getting.
Yeah, and we don't use Verifly. I'm just clarifying that. We don't use Verifly, and we were covered internationally. But I would say, honestly, if you're sticking to one main drone, it's going to be in your interest to get a full-blown policy.
Yeah.
It's going to make life easier. You're going to look more legit.
And the reality is, what if you get busy and you get out to a job and you just forget to turn Verifly on? You forget to call
and something
them,
happens.
And something happens, and oh crap.
Well, one thing that the Verifly guys had mentioned, I think his name was Jay Bregman. One of the things that Jay had kind of talked about is you can push the cost off to your customer. So if you're charging them, your day rate and then your insurance, I get that, and I think for smaller businesses that could work, but as soon as you move up into professional production and movies and features and commercials and music videos, that crap is not going to fly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good solution for a lot of people. It's nice to have the option, and so check it out. Maybe it'll make sense for you. One
thing that I had learned the hard way in the movie industry is that literally if your price list isn't built a certain way, they just ignore you.
Interesting.
Like you have to have your kit rental price, you have to have your day rate and your labor rate.
That's a nice tidbit.
So
Members might be able to hear more about that.
if they do, they can feel free to ask me.
So, how does carbon fiber protect against EMF issues?
Because it protects against here, you can just Google it. This is stupid. Carbon fiber is ferromagnetically protected. You can use it like a Faraday cage.
Awesome. We'll move on. This is an interesting question. If you lived in upstate New York and were an intermediate flyer, okay.
So like a year or two.
Yeah, a year or two. So you're a decent flyer.
Mm-hmm.
You have some confidence and you're flying an Inspire 1.
Mm-hmm.
What type of drone business would you go into? What would you pursue?
Something that has to do with video.
Video? Okay.
Because most people, it's just, that's what the drone is built for. You can use it for mapping. That's great. It's just not that much of a moneymaker, and data is a real issue. You know, it's funny. I was reading an article just the other day from Drone Coalition, Jeff Foster's group. And he was saying, like, what are the real jobs that are, like, available? And he was talking about, like, airwear and all this. And I thought, I'm like, oh, my God, whoever wrote this article is so freaking sheltered. It's unbelievable, because insurance companies right now are on this massive hiring spree to find drone operators to go do adjustments. I mean, it's huge. I've been asked 5 times by the same
But
group.
don't they want to pay like $15 an hour?
I think it's like $60 a year plus benefits.
Oh, okay.
But $60 a year plus benefits.
not
If you're
bad.
just getting started with a drone and you have your license and you're like $60,000, let me give you some bright news, guys. If you go get your full-blown commercial pilot's license to fly for JetBlue or American Airlines, guess how much money you're making?
Like 25, 30 grand?
Yeah, so you're gonna spend $150, not $10,000 to get a license, and you can make 3 times as much in, I don't know, 1/100th the time.
Now, I will say that's now, because more and more people are coming into the industry, and we all know what supply and demand does to those numbers. So we'll see what happens.
Well,
but I would
it
expect
does,
that
but
to come
I'm
down.
seeing more and more businesses understand and accept the use of drones now that the law has been cleared, and it's a very black and white thing. So
maybe demand will keep up with supply, and that won't happen.
Yeah, I
which
just
would be
thought
cool.
that article was just crap. Because there's so much opportunity. It's all about where you go looking for it. And it was like this guy went on theladder.com for drone jobs, and this is what he found. So it was just kind of a joke.
Okay. Moving on. So you'll love this one. Where can people see examples of your interior and exterior video and pictures that you do for real estate shoots, which you haven't done in a while, but nonetheless, you've got some out there.
No, that's not true. I put about 40 videos on another channel. I've been uploading them to another channel.
Real estate stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, it
You
was,
don't wanna tell the channel?
you know what I'm talking about. It wasn't real estate. It was much larger than real estate.
Okay, right.
If they're a member though, I'll post it in the group.
But I'm thinking about you've got, it's taken flight. I mean, people can still go there.
Oh, no, that channel is not like live yet. You just kind of spilled the beans on that.
What is your YouTube site, though?
Ride Media.
Ride Media, that's what I was thinking about. Okay. So there are some stuff on Ride Media that people can go see.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So we'll answer that question that way. I don't know, we'll go ahead and answer these because...
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that I'm affiliated with like multiple companies. So I own a part of DroneU with Rob over here. Mm-hmm. I own Ride Media, and I'm a part owner in Legal Flyer, and I'm a part owner in one other thing, which I refuse to mention.
Okay, cool. Fine. So somebody just bought a P3 Advanced and has got a little money left over.
Ooh.
Would you buy a battery or backpack? I guess it depends on how many batteries you have and what you're going to be doing.
P3 doesn't come in a case. The P4 was the first one that came with a case. I
didn't think this one would be so troubling for you.
I would say case.
Really?
Here's what I would do.
That surprises me.
I would say case, and then tell everyone how awesome your drone is, and then be like, oh, but you can get this $50 one and get really good at it, and then give all of your friends Amazon referral links, and then make enough money to buy yourself a battery. That's what I would do. So, guys, now you're hearing how an entrepreneur thinks, which might be the most valuable part of this particular podcast. Sorry, I just, okay, here's a story I heard recently from a guy who, at the age of 70, finally made his dreams a reality. He became an artist for Disney. And one of the things that he told me was, it took me a while until I was about 25 or 26 that I finally realized that there's the world that we live in made of rules. and then there's the world that exists that no one realizes that exists. And he's like, and he talks about how one time his dad was doing something for their family, and the rule was like, well, we can't give your family rations because you're this ethnic group. Like this was like back in World War II or something. And his dad was like, okay, well, you know, we own a shoe company. You know, we know your uniforms are pretty crappy. What if I bring you, you know, 10 boxes of shoes? Would you increase like our rations, whatever? And the guy literally brought 10 boxes of shoes, and they never had issues with food ever again because they gave boots to all the soldiers that were going around giving rations.
Smart. Stinking smart.
And that's the world that truly exists.
Yeah.
And people refuse to, 95% of America refuses to exist. So I think that's why you're seeing so much polarity too, because there's two very different mindsets in this world. It's how do you solve the problem, or does someone else take care of the problem?
Yeah, absolutely. Or how do I get mine?
Yeah.
Gotta get mine.
So anyway.
All right. Very, very interesting. So this is something we've talked about previously, but I'll go ahead and bring it up again. This person is referring to, he says, how would you set something up because you've got clients that keep canceling on you? And we talked a little bit about that.
We have talked about that. 50% deposit. You don't pay, I don't show, period.
That seems like a pretty easy solution.
Yeah.
You have to commit to that because that's going to be hard. I mean, it's easy to sit here and say that, particularly for somebody like you who's got a lot of business opportunities coming in.
Well,
But
I've
you
been
just have
doing,
to-
I got burned a few times myself, and after a while, it's just like, look, if you don't pay, I'm not showing up, period.
Right.
And if you want my quality, you know what it's worth. And if you don't value that, then I don't want you as a client, period.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have to be, I mean, you're going to have to make a choice, right? You're going to
Yeah.
have to make the choice that, okay, if they say no, I'll just go find somebody else, you're going to have to either take the risk that you're not going to get paid and take the job, or take the risk that you're going to be okay passing with that and being able to get other work. You've got to choose.
Yeah, and honestly, most of the time, the people come back to you in the
Yeah.
end because the quality blows. And if someone says, well, you know, I can't put the money down in time, just be like, you know what, that's fine. If you work with someone else, that's okay. I'm not going to be mad, but I think that you'll find that the quality is nowhere near what we can provide. And we're happy to work with you whenever you want to, because that is a psychological trigger in the mind of the person listening to that is going to essentially, like, it's like, again, you're negotiating for a car and you walk off the table and all of a sudden the guy's willing to lower the price 10%. You know, it's that same like FOMO, fear of missing out, ideology. And like, I've said this before, I really do think life is a game of intellect, persuasion, and psychological illusion. And if you're good at the game, you get pretty much whatever you want. You can't, you know, that doesn't mean do illegal crap with that. I'm just saying, like, you can get what you want because people get a rise out of being in control and having power. But you can also get them on a human level. It's like what I said in the community about getting airspace permission. It's all about how you go about it.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with believing in yourself and believing and understanding that time is an incredibly valuable resource and you can't be pouring into something that you've not been paid for.
True.
There's nothing wrong with that. So please understand that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with telling a client or a potential client, look, I've been burned. I know you didn't. It's not about you, but I've been burned and I've just set this policy up in my business such that I have to collect something up front in order to do the work. Just be honest with people, and I think they're going to understand that. And frankly,
I get 50% for every single thing I touch.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
and again, you're kind of up here in terms of what you're able to do, but I want everybody to believe that they can do that as well, because they're gonna need to do that, frankly. Really quickly, somebody's asking, this might not be that big of a deal now, but what score do you need to pass 107, and do you have to pay to retake it? And you need a 70%, and yes, you're going to have to pay 150 again to retake it. What is the time frame before you can take it
2
again?
weeks.
So it's 2 weeks before you can retake it.
I just learned something else too, something that I was not really aware of. If you haven't gotten your 107 certificate yet, and you didn't get a sign-off from a flight instructor, that they won't issue you the permit until you get a sign-off from a flight instructor, which I don't remember reading that in 107, but I heard of it from a flight instructor this morning. And I wouldn't know if that was an issue or not, because I already had a student pilot certificate on my account in IACRA before I applied for my 107, so I didn't have to deal with that because I had already been verified by someone in the FAA.
Understand.
So I don't know if that's really an issue or not, and kind of want to figure that one out.
Figure it out. All right. A couple more here. I'm going to put you on the spot with this one. Somebody says, what book? the book, the Living the Drone Life book. It's coming, guys, very, very soon.
Okay, let's be honest. The delay in the book is practically my fault.
Well,
okay.
I'm not saying that. I mean, the bottom line is it's coming.
Bottom line is we wrote a book a long time ago, and then 107 came out, and I had to change a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff needed to change.
And then I went on vacation and was like, my mind's gonna explode. So.
And you needed a vacation. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but that book will be that revisions will be done this week, and that means it'll be out by Thanksgiving.
For sure. Let's see.
Anyone who wants one, just write me an iTunes review for Ask DroneU, and I will send you a free book.
Sweet. Wait, say that again?
Nope, not saying it again. Go ahead, next question.
Okay. Damn. Did I just say that? I think Paul just created more work for me.
No, I'll do this myself.
It's all right. What are your thoughts on using the Osmo X3 for stills?
No.
That was easy.
Not enough definition.
Best props to use for FPV racing. I'm thinking we're going to skip that one for now.
Dal props are the most...
Which one?
Dal, D-A-L. They're the most...
so that's the brand.
They're the strongest. They last the longest. They're not the best for racing, but they last the longest.
See, this guy's asking, what props did you end up using as a beginner? Probably just whatever. And I don't think that's necessarily FPV related when he's asking that.
It's funny. I even tried the Carbon Fibre props on the Phantom 2 and decided against it. That's when DSLR Pros was using them. But just not a fan of Carbon Fibre on any of these DJI products, to be honest with you. Oh, by the way, did you hear the news that came out this morning?
No.
DJI is suing Autel for patent infringements.
Really?
Yeah, remember when I said why we don't answer Autel questions?
It's just
the proof is in the pudding.
Copy.
The proof is in the pudding.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
So when people are like, Paul says it's a knockoff, it is a knockoff. There's the proof. Go away.
I guess that remains to be seen in a court of law, but it'll be interesting to see if they win or not.
Now they're in a patent lawsuit with 2 of the big 5. Think about it.
Yeah.
They're suing Unique. They're suing Autel. Poor 3DR doesn't need to be sued. They're already done.
We're not gonna, that's too bad. Dang.
And then
we're
Parrot,
pulling for all these guys, frankly.
And then
the more good drones there are out there, the more it pushes.
The better
everybody.
for the market. Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's why everyone's like, oh, GoPro Karma's done. Like, what a lot of people fail to understand is that what GoPro has done from the beginning is built an audience and built a following. So whatever product they do push out, they have an instantaneous audience for that product. Whereas DJI is continually building their audience for drones and making different drones for different audiences. So I think that the Karma drone is a great thing for the industry because now people are like, wow, look at the DJI Mavic. And I don't think that would have happened unless you would have saw what Unique did with the Breeze, Trent Sigurd's product, or the GoPro Karma, which is a product of many different engineers.
Right. Cool.
So,
Interesting. I think this is going to be our last one. This came from the YouTube, from the podcast, things that can cause your drone to veer. And this person says, doesn't any unexpected flight behavior warrant calibrations of all systems? IMU, compass, transmitter.
No.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. What about wind? What about a little gust of wind? And here in New Mexico, we have a big problem that most people are unaware of, and that's why I love to see other pilots from other states come in and just lose a drone. Sorry, it's a little
you don't really
a little
love
pejorative.
To see that.
Anyway, uranium is a big issue here. Uranium deposits, which is another magnetically charged material.
But is it safe to say, correct me if I'm wrong, which I know you will, that it's never a bad thing to calibrate?
Never a bad thing to calibrate unless you're calibrating in the wrong spot. This is why I tell people in the Don't Crash course, you don't have to calibrate every single time. In fact, that can actually lead to more harm than good. So, because if you calibrate near any steel materials or reinforced rebar, reinforced concrete with rebar, you could actually do more harm than good. You could cause more of a margin of error than was originally in the flight controller. So you always do an IMU calibration after a firmware. You always do compass calibration after firmware, and you do a compass calibration anytime you move about 50 miles.
Right. Okay.
So,
cool.
And DJI, by the way, for those of you who weren't around in the very beginning and read everything in the very beginning, the Phantom 1 told you to change compass calibrations every time zone. Same thing with the Phantom 2. Then it moved to 100 miles to 50 miles to 20 miles to do it every time. I mean, literally, if you go, and I have every instruction manual from the beginning.
Right.
And I have proof where I could show people this. So it's a subjective thing. So don't think it's like a set in stone thing.
Yeah.
So,
But again, if there's any question you think maybe you should, just do it.
Yeah.
As long as you're meeting the criteria that Paul just explained.
yeah, not around metal materials, reinforced concrete, parking structures, tall buildings.
All that good stuff. All right, I think we're going to leave it there, Paul. Guys, if you have a question, go to AskDroneU.com. As we've just explained at the beginning of this podcast, we don't get to the YouTube questions as often as we'd like to. You can keep leaving them there, of course, and maybe we'll try to do more of this, maybe every 10 episodes or something, to get to these YouTube questions. But AskDroneU.com, we will get to those.
Sounds good, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
I'm Rob.
This is Ask Drone U.